Hello everybody, and welcome back. It is me, ChipZ, and we are doing another episode of Chips Ahoy, the fucking One Piece show we do every week where we torture ourselves by looking at this god-awful manga, this god-awful pirate manga that we all became obsessed with in our youths, but we cannot get away from reading even as it goes into a downward spiral, into just the pure hackta of it all. We are stuck in this endless cycle of is it hackta or is it Goda? We just don't know, you know? One week it could be hackta, another week it could be Goda, but we just never know for sure, you know? It's like flipping of the fucking coin. You know, every day we roll the fucking dice on what we're gonna get, what Oda is gonna serve us this week, you know? It is a brutal cycle, an endless cycle that we are stuck in until this goddamn story ends or we die. So, neither of which could come too soon, if you ask me. So, this is where we're at. Thank you for joining me. Rude Rich, hello, how are you? Yo ho ho indeed, my friend. Yo ho ho indeed. Sorry, the stream is starting a little later than usual today. Got home pretty late from work. Things have been ramping up there. But, of course, you know I gotta make time for some One Piece. I know I haven't been streaming as much in general recently, and that's kind of because I'm trying to, like, finish up Elden Ring, because I've been playing it, like, since it came out, and I'm still not done. If you want to catch that playthrough, that's on my fucking YouTube channel. Link is down below, or whatever. Like, on my Twitch page, it'll be there. That's also the same channel where I upload, like, the Chips Ahoy livestream VODs. I recently edited out the intros for all of them, so it just starts with me talking, so you no longer have to sit through, like, 6 to 10 minutes of just, like, the fucking intro loop that I have going on, so hopefully that makes it a little bit more bearable to rewatch that shit if you guys decide to do so. Obviously, you don't have to. Part of the fun of this show is just kind of, like, doing it live and, like, just rolling with the punches and see what comes, interacting with chat. That's like, really the whole... That's what gets me excited about this, is, like, you know, the way we get to kind of talk through the chapter together in real time as I cope and sneed about how fucking terrible the shit is. Alright, I'm being a little hyperbolic, obviously. If anyone's new, I don't actually hate One Piece. I love One Piece, which is why it hurts me so much to see Oda destroy his legacy like he has been doing in recent chapters. But no, honestly, I'm enjoying the raid. I'm enjoying Wano quite a bit. There's been some hiccups. There's been some pretty serious road bumps, some, like, fucking potholes along the way. But overall, it's been a lot of fun. And this might be, like... Rude Rich. Yeah, so, okay, before we get into this chapter, just, like, a couple things I want to touch on. This could very well end up being the last chapter of the fight. On the last chapter, 1047, which I think was 2 weeks ago. I don't think I streamed last week, so it must have been 2 weeks ago. Act 4 soon, bros. Act 4's coming soon, baby. The raid is still gonna fail. Don't you get it twisted. This shit is, there's no way the Straw Hats are winning this fight. Awakening, bros. Kaido's awakening. Fucking Flying Six awakening. One of the numbers gonna do something, right? We still, you know, have a long way to go, obviously. This arc is nowhere near over. We still, according to Mr. Morge, the fucking god Morge, you know, who I worship at his fucking feet, kiss his feet, you know, he's like the Pope. He's the Vatican of One Piece. You know, if he says this arc has another 100 chapters before it's over, I fucking kneel. I kneel to the god. I kneel to the true saint of One Piece. Like, he is the John the Baptist to One Piece's, to Oda's Jesus, you know? Like, he is the one who comes and paves the way for the one who will, you know, make the true change in the world. That's such a fucking dumb reference. Does anyone else read the Bible growing up? Was anyone else religious growing up? Am I the only one who gets this fucking stupid reference? You know what? Next week, guys, we're gonna stop reading One Piece altogether. We're gonna be reading through the Bible. We're gonna be live reacting to the Bible. That's actually kind of a hilarious idea. And you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I will think about that. That's not, like, actually a horrible idea. I might, like, give that some thought, because, like, I grew up super religious. I don't know if anyone in the chat knows this. If you know, if you've talked to me in VC or whatever. You probably Bible chat reviews. Let's go, dude. Yeah, well, man, we'll do a different verse of the Bible each week and talk about like how it hasn't aged well. You know, like there being like a whole chapter on like how, you know, it's funny. Okay, so Roe v. Wade. Okay, I don't want to get too into like politics piece, right? We're gonna keep it go to piece here for as much as possible. This is anecdotal, so I'm not gonna get into Roe v. Wade too much. I don't want this to become a Roe v. Wade stream or like a politics stream. But Roe v. Wade, like the big news this week is that might get revoked by a bunch of like conservative justices or whatever. And I grew up, you know, pretty conservative, super religious. I'm much more like liberal now than I was back then. And no offense to anyone who is conservative, but like, or is still conservative or whatever. But like essentially, what's interesting is like growing up, if you're kind of from that environment, you're taught like, oh yeah, like abortion totally wrong, like the Bible like just completely does not condone that. There actually is an entire verse in Numbers that just like literally condones abortion under like it's like literally it's like if a woman is impregnated by another man and like she is your wife, because back in like Numbers, like back in the Old Testament, like women just didn't have rights at all. Like they were basically just seen as property. Based. Based. Yep. Yeah, it is pretty based. Not gonna lie. Go back to Old Testament times. We should. But anyway, like there actually is just like an entire chapter of Numbers that's like basically about like the situation if like if your wife is knocked up by another man. That is a situation where you are allowed to like basically force her to have an abortion. Like, and the Bible, it just explicitly is like, you feed her poison and this particular poison, it like basically teaches you how to make, or maybe it was a poison that was known at the time, but like essentially it's like a particular poison that doesn't like, it makes the woman sick, it doesn't kill her or anything, but it does cause like a miscarriage. Like, and it's just like, that's just how you do it. And like, you know, it's hilarious that like most like Christian religious people like just don't know about that verse and like just completely ignore, or either they just ignore it or they just don't know about it. Like I remember I told my parents about it, who are like pretty conservative, like a couple years back, and they were like, what the fuck? And they like looked up another, and they're like, it doesn't say this in this translation. I'm like, well, yeah, that's because, you know, the King James is full of, the King James translation of the Bible is full of like flowery language and all that. But if you read like anything that like translates that stuff into like stuff that isn't poetry and just translate it into like direct plain English, you know, it's like pretty clear that's what is intended by that passage. So it's pretty interesting. But you know, that's convenient that they ignore that. But anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. This shit is stupid. I'm not going to get into that here. But anyway, enough of that shit. Let's get into fucking One Piece. So on the last chapter of One Piece, 1047, Luffy was getting his ass handed to him. Kaido revealed that Roger didn't have a devil fruit, which is something a lot of people had suspected, but like hadn't really been confirmed. I was kind of hoping that he would, because all the coolest people in the One Piece world have devil fruits, except for like Garp. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with him not having it. I think it does make Roger kind of even more based that he was able to accomplish so much, even without like that thing that makes everyone special in One Piece is their devil fruit. Like Kaido would not be on top without his devil fruit. Big Mom would not be on top without her devil fruit. Whitebeard had like the strongest power in the world. You know how it is. So that does make Roger like exceedingly based, which is really cool. But basically he says it in reference to Luffy, like, hey dude, like just having a based like super god fruit isn't what's going to put you on top. You got to have the hockey, like essentially the will to back it up. You got to have the finesse. You got to have the technique. You know, you got to be a big, strong boy who's trained. You can't just, like, coast on your fucking new power alone. Yeah, talking chapter predictions right now, just kind of covering what happened last chapter, Rude Rich. So, essentially, last chapter, Kaido is like, okay, like, this is cool, your new power is cool, but, like, you're still, like, that's not going to be enough, dude. I'm like, I've been at this for fucking ages. I've been a Yonko for like 20 something years or something, at least since like the Odin shit happened or something. Like he's been like a big, powerful, influential boy for a long time. And he's basically telling Luffy like, listen, dude, like, you get a new cool power based, but like still you gotta have the fucking, finesse. You gotta have the skill, you gotta have the technique, you gotta have the fucking experience to back it up. You just don't, boy. You just don't. So he's kicking Luffy's ass. It's awesome. We also learn a lot about Momo and like how he's like he just has a complete mental breakdown. He's like, dude, I can't make a fucking cloud to save my life. What am I gonna do? We see his backstory, and we see that he's always kind of been this type of guy who is, even like the fact that he's 8 years old, he keeps getting thrust into situations that he's not ready for, but he always steps up to the challenge, which makes him a based super Chad that I love. I love Momonosuke. What a cool character. What like an empathetic character. Like I really, you know, it's just like sad. Like he is an 8-year-old kid who is just like, basically everyone is like, we need you to be like Odin, and he's like, I'm not like Odin, I suck. You know, so it's like I really sympathize with him and his like, you know, him having like it's been really cool to watch him step up to the plate. So what I expect to see this chapter is this to be the final like fight chapter between Luffy and Kaido. I would love to see like a couple panels of like a Rocks flashback at least. I don't think we're gonna get it. We'll see what happens, but I do expect this to be the final blow, like Luffy to hit Kaido with the big punch and it to be what like takes out Kaido. I also expect Momo to, you know, pull out all the stops and save everyone by moving the island out of the way. I do expect that to be what happens this chapter. I would love if we got a little bit of a flashback with Kaido. We'll see. I just don't know. So we'll see what happens. Those are my predictions. I obviously like, at this point in the arc, it's like, there's only so many things that could happen. Oda might completely, like, make Kaido win again, and we'll go into Act 4. The raid fails. He drops Onigashima on top of the Flower Capital. The raid fails. That's my actual prediction, is that the raid's gonna fail. So, yeah, that'll definitely be what happens. Raid's failing. Luffy's dying. Zoro is gonna... ZKK is gonna come true in the end. And, yeah, that's just the way it goes, man. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. And that's true. Oda has irrevocably fucked his series with this Nika shit. So, alright. Well, without further ado, guys, let's get into the fucking chapter, shall we? Hold on just a moment. Gonna move my intro here, and okay. Whew. Alright, so we got chapter 1048, 20 years. And we get a great little Vinsmoke cover page. We got our boy Cracker looking all healed up after he got his beating from Luffy. He's looking much better now. He's got the bandages around his chest, so this is clearly not too far. This must be like a few weeks back, like in compared to like where we are in like the current timeline, because people in One Piece heal really fast. I doubt, yeah, and this is clearly like this like cover arc is happening during like probably like Wano Act 1 or 2, if I had to guess, or maybe even the Reverie. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. So, Brule is reaching her hand into the mirror. Brule is reaching her hand into the mirror. Cracker is looking at Brule. And interestingly enough, Cracker and Brule are apparently very similar in age, I think. Which is interesting, because they were introduced, but they were both introduced in the Seducing Woods around the same time. And Cracker, I think, is like the 10th son, and Brule is like either the 9th or the 11th daughter. She is like basically, so they're roughly around like the same age. So it's interesting that like they get paired together a lot. I like that a lot. I just think that's cute. I like, the Big Mom Pirates are like my favorite like crew dynamic outside of like the Straw Hats. So I love seeing these guys. I love seeing them interact, you know, it's fun. All right, Germa 66's Cold-Blooded Voyage, Volume 10. Is Germa trying to infiltrate Chocolate Town again? So, in the last cover page, or the last cover arc page that we got, we saw two people, so that we saw two cloaked figures. We just saw their feet, though, which was, you know, probably got a lot of, it activated a lot of One Piece fan awakenings, if you know what I'm saying, seeing those feet. But, so we were speculating on who that might be. Some people thought maybe it's Blackbeard coming in to sack the kingdom. Brule seems to think that it is the Vinsmoke. So that makes a lot of sense based on the feat that we saw. Pedro is coming back. I fucking hope so, man. Because death, you know, we know it's not really a thing. Yasue is coming back. That man is the literal Jesus. He will rise after 3 days from the grave. Am I gonna chug my rum and coke? We will find out. We will find out shortly. Okay. So continuing here. Okay, so they're trying to infiltrate Chocolate Town. Brule seems to think so. Cracker. I like that his I really like that his exclamation point, because he's hearing what Brule is saying. There's an exclamation point, but it's literally his hairstyle and then the fire that's on the end of his hairstyle as the exclamation point. That's really cute. That's a cute detail. Good job, Oda. That's really funny. I appreciate that. All right, moving on. Okay, so we got the big fist, the hand of God hovering above. Have you guys seen Berserk 1997? Where there's that intro, that fucking epic based intro where it's like, fuck, what is it again? I love Berserk 1997, one of my favorite like anime like OVAs essentially. Oh god, what was the intro again? It was like, is something based on some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least it is true that man has no control, even over his own will. It's fucking based. You guys should check it out if you haven't already. Or if you haven't seen Berserk. That's actually how I got into Berserk. Like, I remember I played Dark Souls 1. I was super into Dark Souls 1. I played, like, Bloodborne and I think Dark Souls 3 probably by the time I started getting into Berserk. But, like, I just heard a lot about how Berserk had inspired those series. I watched the 1997 OVA and I watched the dub, which is surprisingly good for, like, an anime dub. I know a lot of people don't fuck with dubs. I do. I like, if there's a good dub, I prefer not to have to read while I watch something that is animated, because I usually like to look at the pretty art. Same thing with, like, Hayao Miyazaki movies. I just like looking at, like, the art and being, like, engrossed and not having to read. That doesn't mean I can't, like, if there's a bad dub, I'll read I'll do subtitles, obviously. But, I'm fine with the good dub. Okay, so move Onigashima out of the way. Luffy, wait, that can't be done. So we see Onigashima, we see Kaido being held by Luffy, who's about to fucking fist this asshole. God damn, that's gonna, Kaido is gonna be gaping after this one, I swear to God. And then we have Momo down here who's, like, oh shit, the timeline for me to move this fucking island just moved up. What will happen next, we will see. So Momo, it's not. I know you will find a way to revive the Kozuki clan in the future. And he imagines his dad, his sister, as a young lady before she became a trifling ass. Before she became, a sex worker. Nothing trifling about that. I respect it. I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. Okay, so to revive the Kozuki clan in the future. I mean, like, honestly, Momo doesn't need to be around for that, just Hiyori. She has children all over town, I bet. So, okay, no. I'm being really sexist. I'm sorry, guys. That's not cool. All right, here we go. Whoa! So he bumps his head up against it. He's trying to just, like, push it out of the way. I think he's pulling a bit of an Odin here. He's gonna be, like, carrying the island on his back. So Kaido's gonna get taken out, and then Momo is gonna carry the island. This is my prediction. Momo's gonna carry the island on his back just the same way that Odin carried the scabbards on his back over the pot of oil. That's what I see. It's misogyny May. There you go, brother. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If there was ever a time for misogyny, it is now. So, okay. All right, so Luffy, he's gearing up for this big punch. Kaido's bracing for it. He's gonna let him punch him. Very well, I'll take this head on. Kaido, you fucking idiot. Okay, what's gonna happen? Okay, so Kaido is just willing to take this head on. Have you heard, Straw Hat? This country's hero burned to death 20 years ago. So he's talking about Odin. And he's about to do he's gearing up for, he's about to do, a big fire attack. He's got, magma coming out, the sides of his fucking mouth. So he's going for, a big blast of breathu, I think. Interesting. So they're going to trade blows. He's agreed to some head-to-head shit. Flaming Drum Dragon. Wow, okay. That looks pretty cool. I hope they did, a color... these guys, I think TCB, they do, colored pages at the... colored pages. They do color pages of the chapter at the end of the chapter. I really want to see this in color. That'd be really cool. And wait, hold on. So there's, a little dragon head in here, but it looks like he's surrounded his like his smaller dragon body with like a bigger dragon like magma coating. Like he's coated himself in magma. That's actually pretty based if that's what he's doing. Flaming Drum Dragon. This has been a lawless land since then. They've waited all this time for you saviors to show up. Interesting. Okay. Okay, cool. Kanji means Great Blazing Dragon Torch. Phonetically, it sounds like Kane Daiko, the Flaming Drum, a classic Rakugo tale. Interesting, okay. There's a lot of, like, references in Wano to, like, Japanese mythology that I'm, like, not, like, I have some awareness of, but I'm not, like, super aware of. But this looks really fucking cool. It's also interesting, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it looks like there's like a head inside the head, which makes me think that Kaido is like projecting. He's like doing an astral projection of like a bigger dragon, which is pretty cool. Kaido Susanoo is sick as fuck. It is sick as fuck. This is really cool. I know a lot of people have been waiting for Kaido's like awakening. To me, this is like fine. Like I like when it comes to awakening, I just assume that all of like the strongest people are like already using it like by default. And maybe that's, like, dumb of me, like, because in a lot of shonen, you shouldn't, like, expect that type of shit, but with, like, guys like Big Mom, with guys like, who else? Like, Whitebeard, with people like Kaido, like, with Big Mom, like, she can apply her souls to, like, whatever she wants, so I assume that was, like, already kind of, like, similar to awakening, right? Like she can essentially put souls into whatever she wants. She can also suck people's souls out of them, and she can also like create soul creatures. So like I just assume that her being able to like apply her souls to like other objects and stuff like that was essentially her being awakened. Like it never mattered to me the distinction between what her awakening was versus like what her normal powers was, because like to me her powers are just cool. I don't need that to be explained. I don't need it to be explicitly spelled out like, oh, she used her awakening at this point. You know, it doesn't, to me, that just doesn't matter. I don't really care about the distinction. I just want to see cool powers. That's the thing when it comes to One Piece. So Kaido using like a cool Susanoo, like Rude Rich said, is pretty cool. I like that. They've waited all this time for you saviors to show up. So that burns Luffy's hand. It's hot. Don't worry, it's okay to let go. Don't worry, it's okay to let go. So is that Luffy saying it? I assure you, I won't run. So, okay, no, that's Kaido saying it. He's like, yeah, you can let go, man. I'm still going to take your shit head on. After all, your right hand won't come crashing down. So he's just by touching the horn, he has burned it away. So Zoro's cool slash that everyone, like, freaked the fuck out about and was, like, creaming their jeans over doesn't fucking matter at all. Like, Kaido could do that just, like, accidentally. So, like, everyone who, like, saw that one attack that Zoro did that cut the horn and, like, fucking, like, lost their shit over and it became the ZKK. That's really what started the ZKK, if you ask me. But Kaido just proves, like, that's not a big deal. I could do that in my sleep, basically. N-Team says, technical shit about... Oh, hey, N-Team, how you doing, man? Technical shit about how power works doesn't matter in One Piece. Totally agree. Cue the meme that everyone posts in the Discord. Stop trying to make sense of One Piece. that thing with, what's his name? The booger man, whose name I forget. The guy from Doflamingo's crew. After all, your right hand... Dude, imagine getting jerked off with this giant right hand of Luffy's. Just imagine that. Just imagine that for a second. Oda is a hack! Stop trying to make sense of One Piece. Yeah, there we go. Treble. Yes, Treble. Our based boy Treble. Although, I will say, about that panel with Treble. So we never actually got, like, an explicit explanation of how he was able to, like... So, okay. Here's the way that might not be as bullshit as people think it is. And I completely accept that, like, maybe it is just Oda being a hack. That's very possible. But you could also look at it like this. Here's the way I, like... Here's the way I, like, make sense of that in my brain. And this... You can totally ignore this, but this is how I make sense of that. And this is a good tangent, I think, actually. So, Usopp shot that, like, the fucking, like, shuriken thing at Treble, which cut him in half. Which, obviously, Treble is a tall, lanky boy. If... Like, there's no way he didn't, like, split in half to dodge that. He had to. obviously. It's the only explanation, right? So treble splits in half to dodge it, which is like a Logia type of thing, or like a special paramecia like Katakuri type of thing. Then later, Luffy is trying to punch Treble, but he's just getting his coat because Treble's like a skinny, lanky boy. And then later, Law slices him down the middle. So here's the thing. I could see, like, if and who knows if Oda, like, intended this or not. This is just the way, like, in my head I make sense of it. It's that Treble is, like, a guy who can, like, he's, like, similar to a Katakuri in that, like, he can, like, form his body around things like a Logia can. Or, like, he can turn on his Logia-ness and, like, then when things hit him, it will go through him. But with someone like Luffy or someone like Law who has, like, better observation haki than he does, or, like, they're just faster than him, Rudra sent a link. I'm afraid of this link. I'm going to try opening it. Rudrich, if you gave me a virus, I will never forgive you. But you seem like a cool guy, so I'm going to hope this is not a virus. Did you draw? Yeah, that's the other way to make sense of it. Yeah, that's the other way to make sense of it. He just jumped. He just jumped really high and then went back into his booger suit, right? No, my explanation, the way I make sense of it is in my head is that like Treble is like a Katakuri type like devil fruit user. He's got like a similar devil fruit to Katakuri where like if he's like ready for it, he can like split himself apart to dodge something. But the thing is, he doesn't have like that advanced level observation haki like Katakuri does that allows him to like dodge someone like Luffy who's like super fast. So he makes up for that by having like a big booger suit around him at all times. But he wasn't expecting Law to like come out of nowhere with like a severed arm and chop him down the middle. So that's how I make sense of it. So I still think like I don't know. Who knows if that's how Oda meant it? It probably was just a fuck up, to be honest. It probably was just an oversight or like something he like changed. It probably was a retcon, to be honest. But like in my head, like I can like make sense of the story. That makes more sense in my head, and that like squares the circle for me. Again, we'll never get Oda will never confirm whether he meant it that way or not, and we just kind of have to deal with that. So whatever, it is what it is. You're trying to make sense out of One Piece. Oda is a hack. Yeah, you're right, Sour. I shouldn't be trying. It's my autistic nature to try to like square the circle on this type of stuff. Because like I like something, so I want to be able to explain it, or at very least I want to have my headcanon for why it works. So that's just how I am. That's how I've always been. If that makes any of you mad, fuck you. No, I mean, you know, you guys are probably right. It probably was just a fuck up, but that makes enough sense in my head that I can live with that, you know. But Dressrosa sucks anyway. So okay, whatever. All right. So Luffy's about to fucking put the fist of God through this man's ass. Kaido is burning the horn, showing that that's not a big deal, what Zoro did. And because I'm going to vaporize it. So Kaido's about to vaporize the island. That's interesting. Like I'll let that happen, says Nika no Mi model Nika. Gomu Gomu no Rising Dragon. And then, okay, so now we're getting a flashback with Hyogoro, which is based. I like Hyogoro. This is cool. What you call hockey is known as Ryo. Here in Wano, Gramps taught me how to attack without making contact. So this is cool because this is something I've been wondering like for a while. Is like, how is Luffy gonna fight someone like Akainu? Even with armament hockey, like he wouldn't be able to like hit Akainu and not get like splashes of lava all over him, right? So I've been wondering that for a while. Like, how is he gonna do that? And Ryo as as an extension of hockey, I know that Ryo is just Wano's word for hockey, right? I understand that. But like the way this like second level of armament hockey has been characterized is that like you essentially are you're kind of like coating your fist to the point where it's like there's like a layer of like invisible kind of like there's like a layer of like invisible sort of like aura around it that allows you to hit somebody or, you know, block an attack without actually making contact physically with that attack. So that actually is great for me. Like I'm happy with that explanation because we've seen a bunch of stuff like that in like what's it called? Like in like before the time skip, like specifically like in like the lead up to Marineford. Like we saw it with like like the Boa sister did like kind of like a cool block of Luffy's punch that made it just like ricochet away. The big sumo lad who is with the pacifistas did like a block and like knocked Luffy back. And then like the admirals notably like blocked like a big Whitebeard attack with like just by putting their hands out like this. So there were a bunch of instances of stuff like this happening, and even Shanks being able to somehow hold back all of fucking Magma Boy's lava, being able to hold back all of Akainu's lava that he was about to hit Kobe with just by putting his like little tiny thin sword out. The whole time I was like, how did that not just like splash all over Kobe and Shanks? And like this actually like kind of does explain that. And like I'm happy that there is an explanation and it's not just like Oda being a hack, you know what I'm saying? Even if it wasn't something that necessarily Oda had fully planned out at that point in the story, I'm glad that like Oda has, you know, fleshed it out. He's made it like an actual power that like someone like Luffy could learn, and now it like does kind of make sense. And he can fight someone like Kaido who has a magma power, which means he could fight Akainu who also has a magma power. So that's cool. Okay, so Gramps taught me how to attack without making contact. I'm gonna knock you to the bottom of hell. And Luffy's smiling like a Nika boy. What a cool guy. Bajrang. I don't know what that means. Bajrang gun. Spell it in English, goddammit. Bajrang gun. Reference to Bajrang Bali. Hanuman? What the fuck? A Hindu monkey god. Oh god, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up with this monkey god bullshit. Guys, we really do. It is Gear 5 monkey god. We just got Gear 5 monkey god. It's happening, lads. This is a real thing in One Piece. Potentially the inspiration for Sun Wukong, of course. Kanji means Monkey King. Okay, oh fuck you. Fuck you, Luffy. You just came up with this attack out of the blue just now. Alright. Aura piece. Yeah, a little bit of aura piece going on. But honestly, I'm glad that the aura actually matters here. Like, I'm glad, like, this is one moment where, like, Kaido creating, like, as Rudrick said, a Susanoo, essentially, is actually a good thing. Because, like, we were waiting for Kaido to, like, turn things up. He actually literally turned up the heat. He has, like, a projected, like, magma body now, which is sick as fuck. And it also makes, like, it also is interesting because King had, like, a Magma Dragon attack. So it's kind of interesting to see that, like, King maybe, like, looked up to Kaido and, like, modeled his attacks after Kaido. It makes their relationship even more cute than it already was. So I actually like that. I think that's cool. And I like that Kaido has, like, I like that Kaido didn't just, like, stand there and fucking take the attack. That he's actually fighting back. Bajrang Gun. Blazing Bagua, nice. He did a big fire blast and they fucking collided in the sky. That looks sick. This panel looks sick as fuck, man. I'm liking the choreography of this encounter so far. So Luffy's feeling that heat, but you see the black lightning coming off of that. Okay. Sentomaru is the fat guy, yes. Sabodi, yes. The Chosen Piece time. Yeah, Chosen Piece, dude. Monkey God Awakening. Sour says, how weird that the fish guy can set his body on fire. Yeah, you know, that is a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Koido. Koido, yeah. That is interesting, that he is a fish and he can set his body on fire. I'm not, like, whatever, it's fine. I'm not gonna, like, scrutinize over that too much. Like you said already, Sour, Oda's a hack. Stop trying to make sense out of One Piece. I'm just happy to see cool attacks at this point in time. And the attacks are really fucking cool. This is sick. This is sick as fuck. With the big explosion, the fire body that he's got surrounding his, like, normal tiny body, like, his relatively tiny body in comparison. That's really cool. I like that. Oh no, Kiku. So we got Usopp, and we got our boy Hamlet's based Hamlet for Straw Hat. Hashtag that shit. Put it on Twitter. We need Hamlet in the goddamn crew. Usopp needs his bro Hamlet to join the crew. And then we need, like, a Hamlet's arc. We need Hamlet to have, like, a backstory like Sanji has a backstory. You know, we need, like, a whole Hamlet saga, man. I want it. I desperately need it. I desperately need Hamlet in this goddamn crew. We have too many edgelords in the crew now with Jinbei joining, so we need a based Chad like Hamlet to really, like, you know, turn this franchise around. You know what I'm saying? No Hamlet, no Reed. Exactly. Hamlet over Carrot, obviously. Hamlet over everybody. Hamlet over Luffy, Hamlet over Zoro, Hamlet over Yamato, Hamlet over Usopp. Okay, no. Usopp, Hamlet's like Usopp's subordinate. Like Hamlet, you know how like Chopper used to like worship Usopp and like think Usopp was the coolest? Hamlet is like that guy now. Like Hamlet is the guy who thinks Usopp is the coolest and like wants to be Usopp's best friend. Hamlet boys, we out here. Yeah, Hamlet is the coolest. I'm so glad that he of all the, because he was by far like my favorite like smile design. I'm so glad that like he of all people has gotten so much focus. This man is carrying the arc on his back, literally by carrying these two characters on his back, Kin and Kiku. Okay, so it looks like they got hit by Jinbei and Raizo's big water blast. So now Kinemon and Kiku are flying away. I didn't mean to drop you. Please be alive. all the One Piece fans completely like, no, don't be alive. Don't be alive. Kill off characters, Oda. I do hope that at least Kinemon survives. But let's be honest, all of these guys are gonna live. They're fine. Even Ashura Doji, who sacrificed himself. These guys are all, they're gonna be okay. We just know it. Oda does not kill characters in the actual events in the arc, at least very rarely. So please be alive. Don't go dying on me now. I don't think he will, but Usopp is being a good boy, trying to save these boys. Hamlet, looking a little waterlogged, my guy. Get your shit together. He's looking a little limp, you know. That he's not quite erect like he normally is, which, you know, it's always sad to see our boy in a state like that. Anyway. Crazy how the anime version of Chapter 1000 completely sold me on Yamato beyond the side boob. You know, I've seen a bunch of clips from episode, what was it, 1015? Which is like the adaptation of Chapter 1000 of the manga. I haven't actually watched the episode yet. I hear it's quite good. I just haven't gotten around to checking it out. So maybe I'll do that this weekend if I have time. Just like, you know, pull that up and watch it. There's like a couple episodes of the anime that I like really fuck with. Like the final anime episode that adapted Chapter 902, which is the last chapter of Whole Cake Island, is fucking fantastic. That is like one of the best episodes. Like I used to watch the One Piece anime when I was like younger. I didn't like I mostly watched the 4Kids, but I watched some of the like original like not Viz version, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Like the original show that aired like after the 4Kids era. But I like legitimately think that like that adaptation of 902, I forget what episode it is, but like if you look up like the episode that corresponds to Chapter 902, like that's a really, really good episode. It has like the Soul Pocus song. It's got like some great moments with Pudding and Katakuri. It adapts Katakuri's like, you know, little backstory with Brûlée. It's just a fucking great chapter. It's so tonally so good. The animation is super great. Like those last few episodes of Whole Cake Island in the anime are actually like legit like fire. They're like legit really good. I recommend. The anime does typically do a great job when it really counts. Just flounders around a lot when it doesn't. I would never watch. I have some friends who are like who aren't like super. They're like don't fuck with manga. They just don't read manga at all. Like, but they're like watching the One Piece anime, and I think they just got past. They just got into like they're getting into like Fishman Island now, and they're having a good time. But they're definitely like, yeah, I could see why you recommended reading the manga. For me, like I would never be able to watch the anime today. It's too many episodes. There's too much fucking filler, and even though I know a lot of it technically isn't filler, it's like, you know what I'm talking about. Every episode has fucking filler because it's just fucking, you know, like I hate Orochi. I hate, you know, all that shit. I hate, like, the extra... Like, the manga's just solid. Why would I switch to the anime, you know? I watch the anime for, like, key episodes that I know... Like, I know, like, I want to see a certain scene with, like, music and voice acting and stuff like that. Stuff that's gonna, like, enhance the emotional, like, catharsis of, like, a particular experience. So that kind of thing. Yeah, I would never like actually try watching the anime episode to episode because there's so many recap episodes, dude. It's ass. I hate it. I hate when people on Twitter are trying to like argue that it's actually like this is peak anime. I'm like, Yeah, this one episode. Next week's is gonna be so bad because they blew their entire budget for like this entire season. This entire like yeah, like they blew it on that one episode, you know? So like that always happens with the One Piece anime, you know, and it's just so noticeable. I can't get past it. You gotta have like consistent quality or what's the point? You know, what's the fucking point? There should be a version of the manga with embedded animation of the good shit. Yeah, dude, be the change you want to see in the world and make that happen. Certain animated panels. I like the idea. I like what's it called? I like not animations, but like what are they called? Like like people will do this thing where they'll like kind of partially animate like a comic book. I think it's called animatics. Or like they'll have like kind of like a sort of like almost like a stop motion of like, you know, like cartoons. Like it's like a really rudimentary animation with like music and like voice acting, and like oftentimes it'll be like a adaptation of like a live action thing. I actually like stuff like that. I think that's cool. And if there was like a version of that for One Piece, I think that would be pretty cool. One Piece edits doing the Lord's work. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, last episode was literally filler. That's what I heard. I heard last episode was literally a recap episode. And I'm like, all those fucking idiots the week before who were like fucking sucking, you know, the dick of... sucking the dick of... who even does the anime adaptation? It's not Viz, right? That's, I don't even know. I don't even know, like, what company does it. I have no idea. Like, but they look like absolute fools the week after. Toei, that's the one. Like, they look like absolute idiots the week later when it was, like, literally just a clip show. I'm like, yeah, this is peak fiction, buddy. This is really peak fiction. This is the intended experience for One Piece, right? All these fucking recap episodes where it's just like, oh, hey, we've gotten to a pivotal point. Now let's just show you, like, what led us up to this point, even though we've been doing that this entire arc. Like, it's like, God damn it. Give me a fucking break. Kill me. I would, like, why would you subject yourself to that shit? I can't believe people do, to be honest. All right. Yeah, you gotta be a masochist to want to subject yourself to that shit. So, okay. Excuse me. Sir Straw Hat, we're counting on you. Take down Kaido. Finish him for good. Yep. That's what we want. Pant. This arc has been going on too long, Oda. Wrap that shit up. Come on, let's get to it. All right, Pant. We got Kawamatsu, who hasn't done fucking anything this arc. He's done absolutely nothing. At least Raizo did some shit. What the fuck has Kawamatsu done? He's just been sitting on his ass. Pant. This nightmare won't end unless Kaido is driven from this land. Honestly, why wasn't he the one who, like, just sent the water everywhere? Why did Jinbei have to be the one to do that when Kawamatsu could have done it? I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity because Jinbei already got a fight this arc. He already had something to do. Like, I feel like it should have been this guy because this guy didn't have shit to do. He wasn't doing anything. He was just running around fighting literal jobbers, you know? Like, that we didn't even get to see. So... whatever. I feel like Kawamatsu did something, but I literally can't remember what. He was cool in Act 2. He had some good moments in Act 2 with like Hiyori and the fox. And he did like some cool like fishman judo, like where he would like throw a bunch of guys and then like spin around and like cut them in the air while like riding like little like streaks of water. That was pretty cool. Like, his fighting style is cool. I just kind of, like, wish he'd gotten, like, more moments to shine. Because even, like, Kinemon and Kiku got to, like, do some cool shit. Like, you know, Kiku cut down Kanjuro at the beginning. And, like, Kinemon was, like, the guy who, like, did all the cool speeches and, like, drew first blood against Kaido. And, like, you know, got to, like, you know... like, I mean, Kinemon was, like, more of, like, an inspiring force. You know, he didn't accomplish much, but he was, like, the guy who... I mean, he cut down Kanjuro. That was cool. So, like, I mean, you know, there's been a lot of scabbards who didn't get to do a ton, but whatever, it's fine. We'll see. Maybe there's still time. Maybe he could do something. Maybe that's what this is all about. This nightmare won't end unless Kaido is driven from this land. Is that what Kawamatsu's saying? Or is someone else saying that? Is he just reacting to that? Odin-sama, his retainers are getting away. Don't let a single one escape. Okay. Run! So this is when they were running, when they were still cuffed after Odin threw the fucking, the the fucking wood off of the pot. Based moment, really cool. I remember them running away crying because like they wanted to honor Odin's will, but they wanted to be sacrificing themselves in Odin's place. It was a based moment, really good. And it made them coming into the raid and taking Kaido head on and like going straight in on him, like for their revenge, for their lord. It made that moment really like satisfying and epic, and I really like was on these guys' side. And I still am. They're still really good. The Scabbards are like, in my opinion, like I love Vivi. And I love like Polly, and I love the Frankie family. But the Scabbards, I think, of all of like the like kind of like arc side characters, I think they're my favorite. I think I like them the best. And like, it just goes to show that even though there's been like some things this arc that I don't like, Oda really was successful in a lot of ways this arc, and I've really enjoyed this arc. And like, there's certain things I think he's done, specifically with like how invested I am in these like, in these fuck-ups who became like something more by, you know, their relationship with Odin. Like I really care about these dudes. I think they're really based. Let's see. We have a couple comments here. I also basically can't remember the Jinbei fight. Not every fishman can do fishman karate, you racist. That's a good point. That's a good point. Fair enough. I was being a little bit, I was assuming a bit too much there. It's like, you know, it's like being like, why can't Kawamatsu play basketball? No, that's, God, that's too much. That's too much. What do you mean Kawamatsu can't make us a sandwich? Okay. God, this is going to get me fucking canceled. I also basically can't remember the Jinbei fight. Probably because Who's Who, and this is Rude Rich replying to Sour, probably because Who's Who started lore dumping during the middle of their fight. I mean, that lore dump ended up being pretty goddamn important, so I'm glad I was paying attention for that. Kawamatsu will have his moments when the raid fails. That's a good point, yeah. He's still got infinite possibilities. He hasn't had his chance to shine yet, so he will get his chance, that's for sure. Once Kaido beats Luffy for like the 10th time, you know? Yes, as our god and savior Morge once predicted. I also don't remember the lore dump all that well. That's fair. I feel like it just wasn't memorable chapters. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I remember everything about One Piece because I'm a genius, and I just really like One Piece. I didn't have a helicopter Triceratops. That's a good point. I mean, Who's Who's moveset was pretty cool. But anyway, fuck Who's Who. I want to read this. Run, Odin-sama. Don't look back. So they're running. Odin-sama, he's crying. He has like a weird face, this guy, Kawamatsu. Bang! And that's when they heard Kaido, who looks pretty young here, which is cool. I like the way they've designed Kaido over the years. You know, you kind of see him. We've kind of seen the guy grow up, sort of, you know? Like, just through these different, like, little flashbacks we've gotten of him. Even though we still haven't gotten the flashback that I want from this guy. So, let's see it, Oda. Let's see that Rocks flashback. Come on. You've been taking your sweet time with that. There is only one place those samurai would go. Kuri. So that's, Orochi being a fucking narc. They intend to safeguard Odin's heir, Momonosuke. So he has a son. I'll deal with him myself. Interesting. So Kaido, even back then, was interested in Momonosuke as like the prospect of like a, you know, a potential like Odin successor, someone who might be able to challenge him in the future. Please have mercy. Stop hunting the Kozuki clan. And he's just fucking wiping everyone out, just like the citizens. Jesus Christ. Don't hesitate to shoot any vermin that dares defy their shogun. And these guys are just literally shooting the citizens. Jesus Christ, man. These guys are fucked up. What of Odin's wife? She was confirmed dead in Bakura town. No one else was seen fleeing the ruins of the Odin castle. I wonder if... what's her name still alive? Are we about to find out that Momo's mom, Toki, is still alive? Because I know that was like a big theory. I personally think she's dead. Like, her power is too OP to exist in the present. Although, that fruit will revive somewhere. It will appear on some tree somewhere in the world, so... Probably somewhere in Wano, so we'll see what happens. Okay. She was confirmed dead in Bakura town. No one else was seen fleeing the ruins of Odin Castle. The Kazuki line is officially dead. Damn. Seeing just like the recently burnt castle is pretty interesting, pretty evocative. I think anyway. Sour says, saying Kawamatsu has a weird face, you really are going to be canceled. I mean, hey, Orochi has a weird face too. I mean, that's actually just racist against Japanese people, though. Or walruses, depending on how you look at it. Two Piece is Luffy being sent 1,000 years into the future. Honestly, that's actually not a bad idea for like a reboot of One Piece. Like, I fucking hope they don't do some shit like. I hope that One Piece doesn't have a Boruto. Like, I really hope that it doesn't. Like, I haven't even read Boruto. Boruto might be okay. Like, I've heard some people say it's alright. But, like, I just don't want One Piece to have a 100-year quest. I don't want One Piece to have a Boruto. I just want it to, like, end with the final chapter that Oda has plans. Whether he has, you know, I don't know if how far in advance he planned it out, but I'm sure he planned out the ending of the series, you know, for a while now. I just, you know, but if there were to be a two-piece, having it be someone who was sent to the future could be pretty interesting. So we'll see. Will Oda think to do that? Probably not. He'll probably just make it like Nami's son or Luffy's son or something. I think Toki will be a point of view character for the Void Century flashback. That would actually be pretty cool. I mean, we have to read this fucking journal at some point. So, who knows? Maybe Toki has some entries in that journal. Well, I guess we'll find out. Okay. Now the time has come for you, Daimyo, to choose. Will you help us usher in a new Wano, or will you try to wage war? Okay, cool. A stupid question. Udon, Ringo Starr. These are the Beatles. This is One Piece's version of the Beatles. Hakumai, Kiwi. So we got Yasue, we got Zoro's dad, we got this dude who is apparently the first number, Ichibi or whatever. I mean, that's what people think. And then this guy who's that other number that got killed by CP0. Lol. This is actually cool. We actually never saw like what happened after Odin died. I mean, we saw like a little bit from Denjiro's perspective, but we didn't really see like this stuff from like we didn't actually see the what's it called? The daimyo. We didn't see what like actually happened like in the mainland. We saw like people trying to survive under Kaido and Orochi's rule, you know? So yeah, this is interesting. This is actually pretty cool. We refuse to recognize a shogun that isn't a Kazuki. Well, that's pretty fucked up. Why wouldn't they? If he was elected democratically, why not recognize a shogun who isn't a Kazuki? What's the deal with that, yo? That's pretty, and you guys are calling me racist. These guys are all about fucking monarchy and shit. I mean, One Piece has always been pro-monarchy, which has been super problematic from the start, so what can you do, man? What can you do? Oda's got his weaknesses, that's for sure. He's got his, he puts his problematic shit right out there on display. Remember that one chapter with race realism where Usopp says, what was it, blacks are champs or something like that? If you wear this afro, your strength will increase threefold. Literally in One Piece. Race realism, literally in One Piece. Okay. We refuse to recognize a shogun that isn't a Kazuki. It is our duty to avenge Odin. So these guys are riding into battle. They look pretty cool. This is pretty epic. Kaido literally wipes them all out with a single blast breathu, basically. Goofa-fa-fa-fa-ha-ha-ha. Orochi, you don't even matter anymore, man. Why are we still seeing you? Muhaha, weaklings. It would be an insult to call any of you samurai. Literally sitting back on his fucking lounge chair while this shit is happening. I think Toki will be... Okay, we already saw it. What if Odin was a fascist? Honestly, he probably would have been a fascist, just like Dalton. Dalton's a fascist. And Vivi will probably be a fascist as well. Guys, you're taking my comments out of context. Of course I don't mean only Kazukis are allowed to be shogun. I mean, they just said it. They said only Kazukis can be shogun. So, I mean, like, what happens if, like, Momo is just, like, a virgin for life and can't, you know, can't fuck? I guess Hiyori will have to birth the next heir, but they won't. Their last name won't be Kazuki. So, I mean, unless they keep the last name. But who does that, right? Ace does that, motherfucker. Ace does that shit. Pork ass, taking your mom's last name. What a bitch move. He can adopt a child. Jeez. Yeah, that's a good point. Fair enough. Who would he adopt? Would he adopt Otoko? But would the Wano people be okay with a woman leader? Probably not. Anti-adoption. God, you really are calling me out on all my shit today, Sour. Who knows? This might be my last stream at this point. Goofa. Okay. It would be an insult to call any of you samurai, says the guy who's like literally watching this on TV. Kaido is blowing these boys up. It's interesting that Kaido just allowed Orochi to like be in charge. Like no one recognized, like now that we see that like literally no one recognized Orochi's legitimacy as a ruler, why wouldn't Kaido have just taken over back then? I don't understand. Like why did he wait 20 years? I don't know. I really truly do not know. I don't know if there's an explanation for that. Damn it, if only that fool didn't have Kaido backing him. Quiet, Orochi has ears everywhere. Kaido's forces will find us. Yeah, I guess Orochi does have a bunch of samurai work, or a bunch of ninja working for him, actually. So, I don't know, but still, like, there's no reason why Kaido put up with this clown. Like, I just don't understand. I mean, I like Orochi, don't get me wrong. I liked all of this, like, all this stuff about his character up to this point, but, like, I don't, like, see why Kaido does not seem like the type of dude who would, like, suffer this fool, you know what I'm saying? At least not, like, once he had an in. Because clearly none of, like, the other daimyo respected this motherfucker. And it'd be one thing if, like, they were like, oh, well, he's from a noble family, so, like, we have to recognize his rule or something. They just completely didn't recognize it at all. So, like, now I really just don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Not killing him earlier. Track down every able-bodied young man you can and bring them here. Uh-oh. Is this going to start another harem war by any chance? Kaido's going to start the harem war, going to fuck all of these dudes into submission? Wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Okay, so these guys are hammering, they're building weapons. Arg, this entire country will become our weapons factory. Wah. Wait, please, don't take him. Wait, fuck. He's pulling on this dude's skull. You guys see that? It looks like hair. That's just his fucking head that he's pulling on right there. He's got his head in his fucking palm. Jesus Christ, that's intense. Wow. Daddy, who do you think you're mouthing off to? So we got sludge in the river. Why has the river gone dark? Well, that's racist. There's no more drinking water. Okay. Sad. Okay, the crops won't grow. There's like a bunch of fucking... There's a noose on a random tree. The desert is hot. The crops are not growing. There's a skull just like laughing. I think that's the same skull that Odin shared a cup of... a bowl of Odin with, right? Back in the crematory. That's the same skull, right? That's the same guy. What was that guy's name? I forget that character's name. But it's the guy who Odin like shared a bowl and like some sake with before, like over his cremated corpse. That's the same skull, I swear. If Odin was ruling Imperial Japan during World War II, he would definitely join forces with Hitler. Absolutely. Absolutely. We just know it. Hitler was the true revolutionary. Hitler's like, that actually, yeah, I mean, hey, he joined forces with Whitebeard, who literally had people put a swastika on their back. The Whitebeard pirates, literally Hitler, obviously. Kaido just eventually got sick of Orochi's shit. I mean, my whole thing, Sour, is like, I'm not sure, like, what took him so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did he suffer Orochi's shit for so long? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe because it gave him an in with, like, the world government or something, because he was able to do business. Like, if maybe it was just Kaido trying to do business with, like, CP0, they wouldn't have been able to do it. But because it was Orochi... like there was like a proxy there, and like they can save face by being like, oh, well, listen, we didn't do business with like a literal emperor of the sea, our literal enemy. We did it with like this other guy who happens to be like allied with an enemy, but he's not like directly an enemy. So that's the only thing I could think of, like that it was like a potentially useful relationship for Kaido as well, to have like an in with like the government. I don't know. That's literally the only thing I can come up with. Kaido just eventually got... Yeah, okay. Those ninja and samurai went to Kaido's side the moment Orochi died. Wait, what ninja and samurai? Yeah, they did. I mean, we know that long headman, Fukuro Kujo, he was loyal to Orochi because he knew Orochi would survive Kaido's beheading. But I guess most of the other guys were like immediately went along with it. Anyway, the crops won't grow. There's nothing left to eat. Is this that lady who tried to kill herself by hanging herself, but also kill her baby before Luffy showed up with the food? Back in like chapter like 921. That'd be pretty funny. If you can still breathe, you can still work. Keep your hands moving, you scum. Everyone's dying. So this is definitely like, this feels like build up to like a final punch from Luffy. That's what this feels like right now. This feels like we're seeing the plight of the people, which is what happens like every arc before like Luffy like literally knocks somebody out. At least it happened to Dressrosa very similarly to how it's happening now. Don't count on any miracles coming to save you. The borders are staying closed, and that's like the big thing. We have to be patient. It will be a long winter, but we have to believe in Toki-sama's words. So it's this idea that like prophecy, this like thing that Lady Toki foretold would save them, and they had to just like be patient and like have faith. Faith is like a big theme in this arc, because like even when like Kaido killed, like supposedly murdered Luffy, like even just like I think chapter 1043, right? He was like going down, and he's like, he was trying to break their spirit, people still had faith in Luffy, but he was trying to break their spirit, break their faith. Faith is the thing that keeps your spirit from breaking. So like that's been like a big like predominant like overarching thing this arc. We've seen like with like the contrast between say guys like what's his name, Denjiro, who stayed faithful all throughout this whole experience, and then guys like what's his name, Ashura Doji, who couldn't stay faithful through the 20 years. Like he basically like he saw all of his friends died. He stayed faithful for as long as he could before he realized like I can't wait 20 years for something that may not happen. I have to do my own thing. Like that's been a running theme this arc, and it's been interesting. I'm curious how Oda's gonna like thread the needle on that and like kind of bring it all full circle, which we might be seeing right now, to be honest. So interesting stuff. We have to be patient. It will be a long winter. Look at these gluttonous fools, Kaido. They actually ate the leftovers of the defective smile fruits. Goofa-fa-fa. So we actually see that happening in real time. Might have allowed Kaido to not have to do bureaucratic shit. Potentially. That's like the only thing I could like guess. But even then, that feels kind of like a flimsy explanation. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Okay. That's it. Let's have the rest of Abisu Town follow suit. Their bellies will stay empty, and their loved ones will continue to keel over. Man, that's fucked up. This kid, like, laughing and crying at the same time. But they won't be able to do anything except grin brightly. They'll never stop laughing. That's such a weirdly, like, fucked up thing to do. Like, just to, like, fuck with people in that way. It's the perfect fate for this country's pests. Goofa-fa-fa-fa. Goofa-ha-ha-ha-ha. So, interesting that both Orochi and Kaido are both like fire dragons now. So Orochi turned into like a fire dragon. Kaido also turned into a fire dragon. Off! Curse you, Komurasaki! And he's about to attack her in his fire dragon form. Goofa-fa-ha-ha! I'm taking you with me. You shouldn't have underestimated the wrath of the Kurozumi clan. And she's screeching. She's like, ah! That's not a good one. Kia! That's a better one. There we go. Alright. I'll be seeing you in hell. Is this Dendrito coming through to do a big slice? Or is this maybe, just maybe, it's Zoro? Because Zoro back in Act 2, he and Hiyori were hanging out. They were having a sexy little romp together. They were running around the country together. They were flirting. She slept with him, kind of like laid with him or whatever. And they ran away together. And he was like fighting off ninja that were trying to kill her specifically. And he said, you know, because Zoro made friends in the beginning of the arc with Yasue, and Yasue was killed by Orochi. And we know that, and then Hiyori was like, well, my father was also betrayed by Orochi, I want to kill him too. So they both said that they wanted to kill Orochi. So it would be interesting if Zoro was the one to finish Orochi off. I would actually find that interesting, but I'm happy with Denjiro. I'm happy with whoever does it, even if it's Hiyori. I initially thought Hiyori was going to be the one to finish him off, but I'm fine with whoever does it at this point. Just get this man the fuck out of here. Get the cane on that man's neck and pull him off the stage. He's overstayed his welcome at this point. All right. I'll be seeing you in hell. We can drink together down there. Boo ha 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 ha. Seeing things are getting out of hand here. It's Denjiro. It's Denjiro. Nice. I like Dendrito. I was waiting for him to do something this arc. I have some things to say about Dendrito, and I'll say them in just a minute here. Okay, please make Orochi disappear. So all the wishes are starting to come true, right? Like, people are sending their hopes of the future into the sky, and this the battle that's happening above is going to allow the hopes for the future to become like a reality, to like come into fruition. That's actually kind of beautiful. I like that as like a motif. I think that's really nice. That's different from kind of like, I don't know, I can't, yeah, free us from this hell, give me a sip of clear water. Yeah, I mean, like, I like that. I like that as like this being what, like this thing that's taking place in the sky is what will allow for all of these like the dreams and the hopes of the people to come true. I think that's actually really cool. That's a go-to moment for me. But okay, guys, we need to talk. This seems to be the, oh fuck, nice. We finally see the Magma Dragon. It reminds me of the Magma Worm from Elden Ring, which I fucking hate. But I think it's cool. It's cool that both Orochi and Kaido turned into like fire dragons at the end. That's actually pretty based. Not gonna lie. Okay. Whew. Okay, let me read some comments. I have some stuff to say about Denjiro here. And obviously, hopefully we'll get like him saying something next chapter, but I have some stuff to say about him in particular because I have some strong feelings about this motherfucker, and I want to get them off my chest. Sour Lemon says, might have allowed Kaido. Oh yeah, we've already read that. N-Team says, Orochi doesn't seem like a guy to do paperwork anyway. Yeah, Orochi, I mean, I like Orochi. I think he's kind of like a fuck up and like kind of like a shady, duplicitous asshole, but I like him in that he's kind of like a self-made Tenryubito in a lot of ways, and I think that's kind of neat. I like what yeah, we'll talk about Orochi, we'll talk about Dendrito, we'll talk about Hiyori in just a minute here. I have some strong feelings on all three of these characters, and I think that might be a good way to like kind of like wrap up this this stream, is like just kind of getting into like the meat of what just occurred, what just transpired here. Wait, how is punching Kaido going to provide clean water? Well, it's paving the way for the country to be rehabilitated. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about. And this like Kaido being taken down here is what's going to allow for these dreams to come to fruition. Like the borders of Wano to open, for the Kozuki to come back into power, for Orochi to get gone, for Kaido to get gone. Like, you know, the country will become a verdant paradise once again, like it was back in the old days, except now it'll be open to the rest of the world, which is what Odin wanted for it in the first place. So that will be the dreams of the people being realized, and the dreams of like Odin and the Scabbards being realized as well, which will be cool. I'm looking forward to that. Orochi moment would have been better if Hiyori finished him, to be honest, since it's more important to her than Denjiro. I sort of agree. I have mixed feelings about this entire thing, dude. I'm going to get into it in just a moment. I just need to finish my alcohol first, so I can do a Thunder Bagua on my toilet later. Anyway, okay. So, my general thoughts on this chapter, right? So, where did we start? This chapter started And like, if you have any more comments, like, keep them coming, because like I want to hear what other people's thoughts on this are. Obviously, we'll talk about it later in Discords and stuff like that. But I am curious if you have like any particular thoughts. I do agree to some degree, N-Team, though, that Orochi doesn't seem like a guy. Okay. Oh, sorry, Rudrich. I think I might have attributed your comment to N-Team. Orochi moment would have been better. So okay. Like, let's talk about Hiyori, Orochi, and Denjiro, because this kind of feels like the culmination of sort of like their role in this story. And I've been like very mixed in my feelings on all three of these characters. Okay. Let's go back to their introduction, like, to just paint a picture of like kind of how I feel these characters were sort of like brought into the story, and like what I expected based on the way Oda was like building them up, right? So obviously, like, Orochi was relevant right from the very start. We met him in Act 2. He was a funny boy. He was like he was a fun-loving guy. He liked to throw parties. He liked to hire hookers and strippers to come to his castle and pleasure him. Very cool, very based. And like, he was just a fun-loving dude, but he did not give a fuck about the people, and clearly was sadistic. Like, anyone who kind of stood against him, he was like, well, I'm going to hold a grudge against you forever. He made people suffer by feeding them basically starving people, like the leftovers from like smile fruits that were like the type that didn't work or whatever, or like ones that had already received, like someone had already received the power, right? So like Orochi, I liked him as like kind of like because like Kaido, obviously, like he is like a world player. So like I kind of liked, like, I know people in Act 2 were like, well, I wish we'd gotten to know Kaido more in Act 2, and like Orochi maybe had like a smaller role, or like wasn't a thing. Like he had been written out because Kaido should be like the main villain. And like, it's hard to argue with that perspective. It really is hard to argue with that perspective, because like, yeah, we still don't know, I feel like, as much about Kaido as we should know at this point. Like, we still don't know like why he cares about death, why he wants like all the stuff that he wants. We have some inclinations, like we have some inklings into like what he's like, why he is the way he is, but like it's still just like kind of speculation at this point. We haven't gotten like with Big Mom, like we knew why Big Mom wanted what she wanted by the time we got her like 2-chapter flashback in during the wedding in Whole Cake Island. We got it. At that point, that contextualized everything that she cared about and everything that had been explained about her up to that point. Like anything we needed to know about her, we knew by that point in the story. And like we've learned more about her since then, but it's like mostly just like stuff that like kind of is filling out like who she is and like what her background is and stuff like that, and like what her powers are, and like, how she acts under certain situations, right? But like we knew what we needed to know about Big Mom, like and the thing is, like, Big Mom had such a strong personality that it came through in like everything she did kind of like showed more and more like who she is and what her sensibilities are, and like, what kind of like a person she was, and like, that she was kind of like, a tricky person who was like kind of like dumb, but also kind of like she was someone who liked to plan and scheme to like fuck people over, but would also like completely fall apart when like someone like took anything that she wanted. Like if she wanted a cake and someone took that cake, she would be pissed off, and like it would basically, throw everything out of balance. Like she's so easily rattled, but she's also like able to come up with like schemes and machinations and stuff. Like there was like a real tangibility to like who she was as a character, and like what she cared about, which is like literally having all of her family be like the same size as her, shit like that, because she's insecure about being the only big person around because the giants don't like her. And then like all we needed was a 2-chapter flashback to explain why the giants don't like her, why she like cares about like equality, quote unquote, like having a diverse family, and like why she wants like people to see eye to eye, and how she like autistically kind of mistook that dream of that state of dream of her you know, adoptive mother, and like how she kind of just has ran with that as like basically like a person with like a child's mind. Like it just explained everything we needed to know about her in 2 chapters. It was a brilliant flashback, one of the best in the entire series, and it was only 2 chapters for like one of the main villains of the entire like this entire like stretch of the story that's lasted like 300 chapters now or something. Kaido hasn't gotten anything like that. Kaido's core motivations, the thing that like makes him want what we know. Well, you know, he wants like an honorable death, but we also know he wants to like change the world order. He wants to be Joy Boy, but he also like wants people to inherit his will, but he's not good. Like he's such a shithead and such a terrible leader that no one's going to inherit his will. So like, but we don't know like what led him to this point. We don't know like what made him care about this. And like, you don't necessarily need to know that for a villain to be interesting, but like, I feel like with someone with like the particular motivations that Kaido has, like at least like a couple pages of flashbacks with him and like the rocks or him and Big Mom would explain all of that. Like we don't even need a whole chapter. We just need like a couple pages. It just feels like there's still a lot we don't know about this guy. And like going into like the final clash between him and Luffy, it just feels like that should have been done before, right? And like, so I totally understand. Getting back to my points about Orochi and Denjiro and Hiyori, I totally understand why someone would maybe see Act 2 and be like, well, we could have laid the groundwork for this Kaido stuff in Act 2. The reason I don't mind as much is I trust that Oda is going to give us that flashback, at least like a short flashback to explain Kaido's like the root of Kaido's motivations and what he's been seeking and why he's been seeking it. But I also, and I do feel like it's going to be satisfying. Like, if you go back to, like, the Wapol, the Chopper flashback with Hurluk, that happened, like, literally right at the beginning of the fight between Luffy and Wapol. And, like, Chopper and Wapol's henchmen. Like, that was, like, the way Oda, like, kind of, like, made us care right before Luffy punched Wapol in the face. I think you can do stuff like that. I think Oda, like, knows what he's doing, and I trust him. But at the same time, like, I do understand why people are, like, upset about that, and I totally get it. That being said, I do like, for me, it makes the world feel bigger and richer that Kaido, he's like, listen, I don't have time to, like, rule, like, the people of Wano. I am, like, a guy with, like, global influence. I have, like, bigger things on my mind. Like, I'm doing things all around the world. Yes, I care about Wano a lot. It's, like, literally where I... You know, like, my base of operations is literally right next door. But, like, and clearly Wano is, like, the place he cares about the most, but we know he has other territory because we've seen his other territory. Drake attacked one of his other territories, and even though we haven't seen a lot of his other territory, we just, like, based on the way the Yonko work, we know that he has other islands that he controls. He is a global power. It makes sense that he wouldn't want to, and this is kind of going back to what Sour said before, like, because I was thinking, like, why didn't he take out Orochi earlier? Well, the real answer is that he didn't want to have to worry about, like, governing an entire, like, big nation like Wano. Big nation, like, big for the world of One Piece, right? So, like, that's why he left Orochi in charge, to, like, deal with, like, the day-to-day nitty-gritty politics of the Wano kingdom. And now that he doesn't give a fuck about the Wano people anymore and he's ready to, like, join forces with Big Mom, take things to the next level to fight against the world government and find the One Piece and find the ancient weapons. He's like, oh yeah, Wano, like, all the people can die. We just need to be able to use it as, like, a pirate's paradise, basically. So it makes sense that, like, up until this point, he needed Wano and he needed its people to help, like, you know, create, like, a weapons factory and stuff like that. But he also needed to make certain people happy to give him, like, a road into that. I think that's fine. I think that works. And I liked the way that Orochi was kind of like this empowered brat. You know, I like the way that he essentially was someone who started with nothing and started as like a Weasley conniving dude and then became like essentially someone who was so like he had so much like disdain for the people who had wronged him as a young lad that he just like didn't see the humanity in anyone. Not like the people who like were nice to him, like the Kozukis and their vassals. Not like the people of Wano. Like, he was just like, as soon as they were like, yo, Orochi, can you stop trying to, like, kill and murder us and sell us into slavery? He's like, shut up, trash. He literally said, shut up, trash. Because he did not give a fuck about those people. They were a means to an end. And his rule has been to take revenge on those people. So that's really cool. I actually, like, I like Orochi as a character. I feel like he, at this point, I wish he died after he, like, had gotten his head cut off before, or I wish Hiyori had been the one to kill him, because Hiyori deserved that win after sucking his dick for so many years, literally and figuratively. She deserved to be the one to finish him off, and I thought that that's what Oda was going for, by making her the one that was there and having her do her whole, like, moment where she took off the mask and she was crying and weeping. I thought that's what he was going for. I'm fine with it being Denjiro because I like Denjiro, but I have a lot to say about Denjiro. So I'm going to read some comments, and then I'm going to get into my thoughts about Denjiro, because I have a lot to say about this motherfucker. And a lot of it isn't very good, but, like, I can't help myself from kind of having an attachment to this character, even though he hasn't actually done that much. So we'll get into it in just a minute here. This is the most impactful thing Denjiro has done, and he just fucking showed up after not being in the manga for, like, basically, like, what, like 40 chapters? So, like, I'm glad that he gets his moment to do something cool, because I like him. I like his character design. I like his backstory. But I will say, of all the things this arc that I wish could have been done differently, Denjiro's role in this arc is the thing I wish had been done differently the most. And I will explain why in just a minute here. Let me read some comments first. Okay, so where do we stop at? Okay. Orochi doesn't seem like the guy to do paperwork. Yeah. Okay, we already read that. Wait, how is punching Kaido? Okay, we've read that. Kaido's dead body will boil the chemicals out of the water. Yeah, there you go. That actually works. I can buy that. That's a tweak of chemistry right there, Sour. I know you're a scientist, so I appreciate that, or an engineer, rather. Excuse me. So I appreciate that input from a great mind like you. My chapter thoughts, kind of filler for a weekly reader, but good in a volume context. I agree with that. It is kind of fillery, but I'm okay with that. It feels like this is building up to the final strike, which I thought was going to be this chapter. Looks like it's going to be next chapter, and that's fine by me. N-Team says, the Orochi moment impact really is diminished by the fact that this is like the 4th time he has died. I completely agree with you, dude. I completely agree with you. Honestly, I think the best possible option was Kaido cutting off his head unceremoniously like we got at the beginning of the raid. That was like the best possible way he could have died. And then the moment where all the scabbards cut all of his heads off, I liked a lot as well. But then he just kept coming back. And then with Hiyori, I was like, oh yes, Hiyori's going to get her win that she deserves, you know? She deserves to be the one to take this motherfucker down, to finish him off. And then in comes Denjiro to rescue her. And, like, I get it. You know, Denjiro kind of whored her out for years. So him doing something nice for her in the end, I actually do appreciate. But at this point, I'm like, this guy's going to grow another head and come back in just a second, isn't he? Because, like, at this point, I just don't believe this man is dead. I do think he's dead this time. But, like, if he came back, I wouldn't even, like, I'd just roll my eyes and I'd just move on. You know what I'm saying? He's died so many times. He's gotten so many of his heads cut off. At this point, I just don't care. I don't care. He has no impact on the plot anymore. Like, he is just like a hanger-on at this point. He was just someone for people. He was a vehicle for other characters to, like, have character moments and get revenge. He was never going to accomplish anything on his own like Kaido or Big Mom could, right? So that's the thing that became disappointing about a character that I thought was really cool in Act 2. He's the only character this arc who killed anyone because he actually killed Yasue, which was awesome. I was like, oh, this character's based because he can actually, like, do things that affect the plot because he doesn't give a fuck. But then, like, ever since, like, Kaido cut off his head, he's basically just been, like, fucking around. He's basically just been fucking around, causing mischief. And it's like, there's been some interesting thematic stuff going on with him, but I've been over Orochi for a while. And I feel ya. I like that Kaido's goal isn't to rule Wano, but to use it as a factory. Tell us Kaido is of a grander scale than other antagonists. Yes. Like, Wano is just a means to an end for him, and that's cool, and I like that. Yeah, I think that makes the world of One Piece feel big, and it makes Kaido feel like a big important guy who has got big important things to do. So I appreciate that a lot. Oof. Okay, so before we wrap up the stream, I do have some things to say about Denjiro. Need to take a swig before I do this. Getting a little raspy. Okay. Dendrito. My man Dendrito. So let's talk about this man for a moment, right? So the first thing we see of this character, he shows up in what, chapter, I don't know, he shows up at like the very beginning of Act 2, I believe. Because that's when we get like the introduction to like most of our principal characters for the rest of the arc. He shows up at the very beginning of Act 2, he's criticizing Orochi while he's drunk, and he's talking to other like high-level officials. And the thing is, in Act 2, they did such a good job of building up his name back then was Kyoshiro. He was the leader of the Yakuza. He was Orochi's like chief bodyguard. He literally fought Zoro to a standstill. Like he actually like was kind of dabbing on Zoro a little bit. Like Zoro was like going after Orochi and he's like, I'm not gonna let you kill that man. Like, and he was just like basically like kind of like making like Zoro sweat a little bit. Yeah, like they were building this man up to be like if this was like let's say like pre-time skip One Piece, Denjiro would be like Zoro's final, like the way they were building him up would have been like, this is like gonna be Zoro's final opponent for the arc, because like Zoro literally had like a fight with him where he was like losing, and he literally was like the pimp for Zoro's girlfriends, Hiyori, like because back then we didn't know what the nature of the relationship between Hiyori or Kuromurasaki and Denjiro was. We just knew that she like worked for him. So like back then I was like, I don't know, back then there was reason to believe that he wasn't super loyal to Orochi and that he would turn on him if the situation was if the situation presented itself. But for me, that was less buildup of like him being a traitor or him being like a secret Kozuki, and more buildup of the fact that like maybe him and Kaido are going to do like an under the table deal to get rid of Orochi, and like, you know, install like and like maybe like have like Denjiro be kind of like the not necessarily like the new guy in charge, but like maybe like, you know, like oust Orochi because Orochi's incompetent, and then have Dendrito be like the one who kind of like lets Kaido become like the full ruler of Wano instead of like a ruler by proxy, essentially. So something like that. And like I was so excited to see what they were gonna do with Kyoshiro / Denjiro before we knew he was Denjiro, right? He had a cool fucking pompadour. He was like had like a scary face. We couldn't even see his eyes. Like he was fucking dabbing on Zoro. Back then, everyone was like, Zoro needs a fight with a samurai. He literally didn't get a fight with a samurai this arc. He fought other swordsmen. He fought, like, other cool guys. But, like, this was gonna be, as far as I was concerned, his swordsman fight. And, like, yeah, the king fight was, a lot of people dislike it. I think it's fine. Like, I like the king fight. I do agree with some of the criticisms people have of it about, like, how did Zoro figure out his powers? Like, we just didn't see him figuring it out. There was one moment where he didn't know his powers, and then another moment where he had figured it out. And we just don't see, like, his internal monologue did not show him, like, it just showed him being confused by it, right? Like, so, there was a lot of that. And then, essentially, at the end of the day, like he was able to figure out, he got a power up, and then he was able to win pretty swiftly, and I found that to be a little unsatisfying, and so did a lot of people. I still like King. I still like the fight up to that point. Like, I like that King had the upper hand until Zoro, A, got a power up, and B, figured out his powers. I think that makes sense. I like that Zoro couldn't beat him on his own. Like, I like that the Zoro that beat Pika couldn't have beaten King. Like, I like that Zoro, it's the same thing with Sanji. I like that, like, I know people hate, like, Astral power-ups, and I do as well. But, like, in this arc, I feel like the power-ups for Sanji and Zoro, at least, and Luffy to some extent, with at least not the Nika stuff, that came out of nowhere, but, like, the armament hockey, and even the Conqueror's hockey stuff, I was fine. I was like, this is, like, Luffy, there needs to be an explanation for why these guys can fight guys that are, like, that would have been way stronger than them just a couple arcs ago, right? Like, that needed to, or even, like, earlier this arc. Like, that needed to be explained. Oda explained it. And in my opinion, he mostly explained it in a satisfactory way. There are certain things I didn't like about it. about his explanations, but overall, I think he did the best he could given what he had. And I think he did a good job of building up to all 3 power-ups with Zoro, with Sanji, and with Luffy. So I'm happy about the way he handled that, all things considered. There are things I think he could have done better. And I'm not talking about the Nika stuff. That stuff did come out of nowhere and was kind of bullshit. I like the powers themselves, though, and I'm over it at this point. I'm not going to harp on it too much. That being said, like, I still do wish that Denjiro had been a villain. Because Denjiro, imagine, we had heard so much about how strong the samurai were, and they did prove to be strong. They did they pushed Kaido, they pressed him. But, I was so ready for Denjiro to be kind of like the fucking Grim Reaper of, imagine if, so imagine Kaido has his 3 calamities, but then, there's one guy, Orochi's top guy is as strong as a calamity. That's what I was expecting, is, there to be, a samurai who is, literally as strong, if not stronger than Zoro. At this point, we don't know, none of the samurais are stronger than Zoro, which is, wild to me. That's wild. This is, there was so much, praise heaped onto, we have no, even Sakazuki, and, it was we have no idea how strong, the Wano country's forces are. They're strong. They've been able to fight Kaido's forces, and even, the top guys, the Scabbards, have been able to fight Kaido himself. But overall, they are not that as impressive as I was expecting. They're the strongest ones, Ashura Doji, Denjiro, Cat Viper, and Dogstorm, or whatever. I don't care if I'm using their stupid English names. I don't give a fuck. Neko and Inu, those guys are third commander level. They can beat a Jack with high difficulty, or at least the cat and dog can. Who knows if we know that fucking Ashura Doji was able to cut Jack. We don't know if he could beat Jack in a long drawn out fight. Who knows? We just don't know. It would be a close fight, is what I imagine. But Denjiro was the guy who was built up to... He, literally, we see, at the beginning of the raid, right before the raid starts, this is back during, what's his name? Kanjuro's betrayal. We see Luffy, Law, and Kid together destroy a ship. We then see Dendrito show up, and he cuts a ship on his own, like Mihawk does, or like Zoro did at the beginning, right after the time skip. And that made this guy look so cool and so intimidating. And then the next moment we realize, oh, he's just a good guy. And listen, I'm fine. I still like him. I still like his character. I still like his story. I like that he gets a cool moment. I like that he gets to be the one to take out Orochi, because he's the one who enabled Orochi and worked for Orochi and was the one who kind of was undercover in his ranks. So I don't even hate that he's the one to take him out, but there was just I had such higher expectations for this character. I thought he had such a cool design, and I was really hoping for Zoro to get an actual fight with a real samurai to just show how badass the peak of the samurai could be. Ashura fought Kaido too. Yeah, he did. Ashura's cool. I'm not trying to diss Ashura. He's a cool guy. I like him a lot. But I was just so I like Denjiro. I like Denjiro as he is. I am still a little disappointed that because he was just, the way they built this motherfucker up in Act 2 was so cool, and it made me really want him to be one of the big bads this arc. A sympathetic big bad, like Katakuri. I thought this man was gonna be Zoro's Katakuri. And instead he's just an ally who takes out a guy who, has already been taken out 10 times. And I'm fuck Oda, come on. It's so frustrating. It's this, normally I'm not the type of guy who, thinks I know better than Oda. I get that sometimes he does something hacky, and I'm well, you could have done this. But most of the time, I'm when people propose ways that the story of One Piece could be better, I'm that just literally sounds worse. Even if I don't like what is happening right now, what your proposal is sounds worse. So, but this is literally a moment where I can explain and concretely explain why my expectations for a character are better than what we actually got for that character. And I just had to go on my little rant as to why I am, like, I don't even hate what, like, has happened here. I like that he was the one to take out this guy. I still kind of wish it was Hiyori who had been the one to deal the final blow. But I'm fine with it being Dendrito. It makes sense. He was the guy, he was Orochi's right hand. It makes sense that he'd be the one to, like, you know, cut him down and protect Hiyori, the one who he kind of, like, put through, like, a, you know, they had a plan to take this man out. So, like, it's cool that, like, they worked together to sort of do it. I'm fine with that. I just had such higher expectations for this character. I know it was just my headcanon. It was just my expectations. I shouldn't let my personal expectations of what I want to see affect my feelings on what we did see. But this is just like one moment where, like, that just is how I feel. Like, that just, I'm just trying to give you guys my raw opinions on this. I do feel like I wanted to see more from this guy. Like, I liked everything about him so much. And this guy was literally built up more than King and Queen in Act 2. Like, maybe not Queen, but, like, King got not a lot in Act 1, or in Act 2. Dendrito got a literal fight with Zoro. He was, like, present the whole time. He cut down Komurasaki, and, like, he, like, literally, like, had, like, shown that he was just serving Orochi because that's the way the world, like, that's the way, that was their roles. But it was clear that he wasn't, like, super loyal to the guy, and he would, like, if the opportunity arose, he would, like, fuck him up. And, like, yes, this is us seeing him fuck the guy up, but I am still like, man, you could have been, like, the samurai boss fight for Zoro that we all wanted. And that's literally what I thought we were going to get from this man. And I would have actually been fine if he was a former scabbard who, like, similar to Ashura Doji, like, had become disillusioned with Odin and maybe, like, decided, like, you know what, I'm not loyal to Odin anymore. And maybe, like, maybe he still was trying to, like, sort of, in his own way, protect Hiyori through his, like, brothel dealings and using her as, like, kind of like a tool to get back at, like, sort of like the nobles who are taking advantage of people in the capital. But, like, for me, like, I still would have wanted him to be, like, kind of like a sympathetic villain. I think that would have been a better role for this dude than him just being, like, another generic good guy who doesn't get much to do at all. Like, he's cool. I like him, but, like, this is the peak of his relevance right here. And, like, I'm like, man, you could have been so much more than that. Like, I wanted you to be so much more than that. I'm a little disappointed. But that's just how I feel. We got one more comment from Sour. I like how Hiyori went out of her way to watch Orochi die. I agree. I agree that I like that. But as we all know, Orochi is not dead. The raid will not fail. The raid will fail, and we will have another 100 chapters of Wano with Act 4 and Act 5. So I will see you guys in those next 100 chapters where we talk about Chapter 1049 and the next 100 or so chapters to come in Morge Peace. And I will see you next time when Luffy obviously fails to take Kaido down, and we have to do the raid all over again. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of ChipZ Ahoy. It's always an adventure out here on these high seas, and I really appreciate you guys coming through and having some good conversation, some good bants, some good banter, some good back and forth. And even if we're a little disappointed with these turn of events, with the stuff, with Denjiro's role in the arc, I'm still overall having a lot of fun with this arc, and I hope you are as well, even if we are coping and seething as hard as we possibly can about some of the events that have transpired here today and in the last couple weeks. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Sentium. Thank you for stopping by. I don't know, I think you've been here before, but I appreciate it, and you're a cool dude, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you for stopping by. I'll be doing this again next week with Chapter 1049, as long as it's still... I don't think we have a break. I'm pretty sure we don't. But yeah, so this will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow morning. If not tomorrow morning, then Saturday morning for sure. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, and safe sailing to you all.